Good morning. So today I got a late start. Yesterday I was at the beach with our friends and with my twin until 1:30. We left out of there at 1:30. My twin and I. It was really nice. We had dinner. My kids were doing their own thing, and so we made dinner on the open fire, and that's what we do a lot of times when we spend the evening at the beach. It was really nice. It was really fun. Um, there's always live music. It feels like, because there's people that play guitar and Khalil is like a flute, and there's drums. It's really fun. And there was something I was just gonna say about it. There were a few things that I wanted to talk about real miracles. I'm always talking about Providence and how every month comes along and I don't know how I'm going to end the month. I don't know how I'm going to manage to do anything. But lately I've been really running on trust. And that's something that also my twin is guiding me. When I moved in, I was just talking about it yesterday. When I moved into the new place that I moved into, I was shaking. It's like I couldn't bring myself to move in, and he told me just take a suitcase and act like you're going to a hotel. Put just what you need in your suitcase and move in with a suitcase. Live light. And that has been like I moved in with a suitcase and then slowly added things. The house is still pretty much empty, but he's been teaching me on this trust. When you trust, it's like having, yeah, like I've heard before, talking in Christianity, talking about having blind faith. And now I realize what it is. It's really when you believe something and you truly believe it, you give that vibration out to the world and it becomes true. What you believe is true for you. So it doesn't matter what you believe. As long as you truly, truly believe it, it becomes your truth. And I think that this is also how you see that children that are born into wealthy families tend to become wealthy. They tend to become at the same level as they were always raised in. And you and people that were raised in poverty tend to, I'm not saying this is an absolute, but for the majority, people tend to stay in the same life. Um, in the same level as they were raised, and this goes in financial is a big one because like that's what the world runs on nowadays. It's like the new god. Money is the new god. And in parts of society, yeah, it's not an absolute also, but getting out of that mindset where not everything has to have a monetary value. So let's say if I'm doing my artwork, I'm just doing it for the value of the art and not doing it for a value of money. It's like a completely different mindset. And for me, and I imagine that this resonates with other people as well, is that we were raised, taught that value is monetary, so is money. So anything that doesn't have money value to it really is a waste of your time because time is money. How many times have we heard that? Time is money. And when you get out of that mindset, the world becomes so much more broad and there's so much more to it. And when you learn to start trusting, and that's what I want to talk about, real miracles, like my twin flame is guiding me. And one of the things that he says that he said, I don't know, it's just every month everything seems to just work out somehow. At the beginning of the month you don't know. You just do what you do. You put yourself out there and you do the ideas that you have. And I've been noticing that lately when I'm shifting into this mindset of my income doesn't have to be directly connected to exactly what I'm doing. So, not selling my time. So, if I'm doing one thing and I'm putting myself out there into the universe finds a way to bring it back to me. And the more that I trust, the more I can lean on the trust and realize that it just happens from itself. And the lately, and so like this month, I was saying before, I have no idea how it's going to end this month, right? And then all of a sudden, my parents do these sculptures and they sell them at the Garden Tomb in Jerusalem. And it's actual replicas. Uh, Maybe I'll do a video and I'll show the work that I do. But um, and they're always all the grandkids work for them, and sometimes when they need extra work, then they offered me to come and paint plates because it's they needed paints they needed plates painted. It's plates, these plates with the Garden Tomb replica, and then you paint the flowers, and they dip them and give them a patina and a finish, and they're like wall hanging, but they sell at the Garden Tomb and at other tourist shops. My father's an artist, so it's an app. Well, I'm also an artist, but it's like a perfect replica of the Garden Tomb. So the other day they had like 12 plates they wanted me to paint, and so I said, sure, I need the extra income. I thought, okay, so I'll make 100 shekels or so. And so I went over and I started painting plates, and I finished the plates, and I thought, okay, this is good. It's like an extra a little bit of income that I have coming in. And then yesterday I went over to finish the plates that I had started, and they had gotten an order of like 200 plates or something like that and so they said, yeah. So all of a sudden I have, if I, there's the grandkids also work with my kids and the other grandkids and whoever, is around. But all of a sudden I have this option of income, of extra income for this month to make ends meet. It's like, it's like a real miracle. It really is. It's like, I didn't know how this month was going to end, and all of a sudden this comes in, all of a sudden that comes in, and every month it's been something or other. And all of a sudden my Amazon sales are up, just random, and I say random, but I feel like it's the see, I'm overwhelmed. I feel like it's the faith thing, and also it seems like my work just is coming easier to me and with more ease. There's less pressure around it, so I get way more done. Because for months and months and months, I dare say years, I get up in the morning with this, when you have post trauma, um, it's difficult to focus. Anytime you sit down to try to focus, besides that my mind goes in all different directions anyway. Ever since I've been young, I think it's kind of like everything. The world is so stimulating, and I'm thinking about so many different things all at once. It's like everything pulls my attention. But also with post trauma, this is something that is one of the it's a known effect of post trauma. And I've known this about myself. And I even, when I got the diagnosis of post trauma, at first I thought, I went to get the diagnosis so that I could get medical marijuana, right? Only about 2 weeks after I got to the diagnosis did it hit me that I really do have post trauma, and it hit me big time. Because when I went to get post trauma, I was looking at all of the what post trauma means, all of the symptoms of post trauma. I thought, oh, cool! I have all of these symptoms. I can get I can get a diagnosis. It didn't even fathom to me. I didn't even, it wasn't even an option to me that I really do have post trauma. It was just I looking at all the symptoms, like, oh, cool, I can prove that I have all those symptoms. Also with the alcoholism, because with the alcoholism, when I went into rehab, and I went into therapy, then all of the everything is written in my, in my medical. So all of this is written that I could prove it. I could show that it's all written, but it didn't cross my mind even that it was real. But only after a couple of weeks did it fall into my knowing that, whoa, wait a minute, this is real. It's really there. But then I looked at it like, okay, so I have all this diagnosis and I have all of these symptoms, and now I have a map. Now I understand. I can really look into it and see what's causing all of these symptoms and why. And with the focus thing, I realized that because you're always constantly on edge, your being is in constant survival mode. You're like always on your highest alert. So you don't allow yourself to go deep into something to concentrate, because you could be yanked out of that concentration at any second. So so then it gave me a map, and a lot of times, I realized there's a lot of different ways to get to the same outcome, and one of the ways is fake it till you make it. And what my twin was telling me, and my twin is helping me heal, really. I mean, we know this because of the twin flame journey is all about self-healing, but not only through the reflections, also through the advice that he gives me. And one of the things that he was telling me was just sit in it. When you have something, the dogs took off. So I'm just like, what? They both took off like running. And so I know that something caught their eyes. I'm looking around to see what it is. See, my attention span. Everything pulls my attention, and there's a live example of it. But so my twin flame. Again, I'm using the terminology so that also in YouTube the video will come out relevant to whoever's searching. And so my twin flame advised me, even if you can't concentrate, like to quit running, because all I know it's this whole past year especially, I sit down to do my work, and there's so much pressure, and I don't see the income from my output. I do see the income, it comes from my output, but it's not specific to, let's say I sit down and I'm upgrading all my listings and changing my keywords. So I can't see the direct connection between what I'm doing and the income difference. But I know that overall, in improving my listings, that it is improving my income. But in any case, every time I sat down to do something, my mind starts boggling, and I can't sit, and then I feel like I have to get up and start running, and then I run off to the side of the mountain and just hang out in nature, and give myself all sorts of excuses for it. Also, with this quitting smoking thing, I see how detrimental it is, how much of a difference it makes. And the truth is, like my daughter told me, my adult daughter, when she quit smoking, she said there is no difference in between when you are smoking, when you're not smoking. After you quit smoking, after a while, it's exactly the same. And what I've noticed is that my channeling is first of all, maybe in the first week it was less, you feel a little bit more on edge, and maybe you don't feel as open to the higher realms. Or look at the lady that's sitting right behind me. It's so funny. That's perfect. It's perfect. I crack myself up. See it? I'm not even smoking. I crack myself up. Imagine what it's like when I'm smoking. But so so let me just close off the real miracle thing. So all of a sudden this month, now we're on the 18th, all of a sudden I have an option to go and work as much as I want and make a supplement. I could put in 3 or 4 days and make a few thousand shekels. That'll cover my rent. It'll cover the other things. My loans bounced this month. They bounce quite a few months, but my loans bounced. So the minute that because I'm in an overdraft, so the minute that any money comes in, it's going to go straight. It's going to be like sucked out of my account straight to the loans. So that I was thinking, well, what's going to be, because whatever I put into the bank account is going to be sucked out, and then there's not going to be, to cover rent. And all of a sudden, this work comes in of course I have to go and I have to put days into it, but that's also good because I work at my parents' house, and there's a map that I'm working on, and that calendar that I'm working on with my father. And so while I'm painting, I can also listen to videos. I can talk to my father about the projects that we're working on. So yesterday I went over and painted, and then him and I sat down and opened up a whole bunch of books, and I was reading about the Jubilees. And that's another thing with my twin and the Messiah thing. It's an unbelievable, because there are the Jubilees, the ancient Hebrew Jubilees, everything on the ancient calendar. See, I'm getting all over the place in this video. It's only 16 minutes I've been talking all over the place. The Jubilees are in the ancient Hebrew calendar, everything was sectioned in sevens. So there's 7 days of the week, and the seventh day you keep holy. And then everything is on cycles of 7. And even the year is on cycles of 7. It's 364 days was the solar calendar, and it comes out way more accurate than the lunar calendar. And it makes way more sense because the seasons go by the sun. And then it's set up also with that also makes sense with those the rounds like they found with, what is it? With the equinoxes and the solstices. Solstices, is that what it's called? Well, the equinoxes, they have the equinoxes, and then they have the shortest and the longest days. So it's the equal days. And all of that is set by the sun. And the seasons are set by the sun. So the harvests are set by the sun. They're not set by the moon. They're set by the sun. The sun is what causes the seasons to change. So the solar calendar makes way more sense than when I started working on this. I was just blown away at how much more sense the solar calendar makes than the lunar calendar, because the lunar calendar, okay, so it does have it does have a pull on water and elements and the stars also, but the solar calendar is what actually feeds the earth and causes the change in seasons and brings in the harvests. And all of the holidays on the Jewish calendar are set according to these harvests, and set according to their divine guidance to when you harvest what. And whenever they had the harvests in spring, and they have the harvests in the fall. And then they have the wood harvest, which is right before the winter, and then you collect all the wood, and then you have the wood for the winter. It just makes so much more sense, the solar calendar in life with the elements and with nature. It's connected to the fruit and to the earth and to all of that. So when I'm working on this calendar, it just makes so anyway. So I really want to get into working on this calendar now again, and so this gives me an option to go over there and work, do my studying with my father, and it's also good for him because finally he has a child who's interested in the history, because for all of his life he's been a historian. And because you know how he's been talking about history and history and history, and all of us are just like, oh, all of our lives, and not taking a real interest like he is. And so now he has a child that I'm intrigued. It's really for me like all of a sudden I get the pull towards the history, and it's connecting to everything. But oh, and so these plates that I'm doing, this is so funny because I've been talking about the Messiah and how my twin is the Messiah, and that I also want to get to because he was born on a Jubilee year in 1973, and the Jubilee year was 72, 73 because the years are counted different. And so he was born on a Jubilee, and his 49th birthday, which was this last year, we went to the Jordan River and we did a birthday together. We did like a whole ceremonial birthday, him and I, because our birthdays are one day apart from each other. So he's on September 2nd and I'm on September 3rd. And so we went and we slept at the Jordan River on his birthday, and the next day was my birthday. So it was really nice. It was really nice. And see, I'm pondering on that for a bit. Today I got a late start because last night I got home like at 1:30, and so I turned my 5 o'clock in the morning alarm off, but I woke up at 7:30 anyway. I did my meditation. Now it's probably about 8:30, but it's already a hot one today. It's already hot. So so he was born on a Jubilee, and this just goes, what is a Jubilee year? It's 7 cycles of 7. So in by the Jewish calendar, every 7 years there you allow the land to rest, so you don't harvest, which allows the fruit to go back into the earth. But you can go out and just eat in the field, but you don't harvest. Which is you don't cut the trees, you don't, and it's kind of like a celebration year. But then every 7 of 7, so every 49 years, there's a Jubilee. And the Jubilees were considered to be the most sacred. And they were one of the things that was completely lost when they changed over into the Julian calendar. And that was when the Roman Empire came in and conquered this land and overtook in Jerusalem. There was the temple where all of the Jewish people would come up and do the sacrifices and bring their first fruit. And that was the temple. They would do like a walk to the temple twice a year. Imagine all the Jews from all the land walking. It would have taken them like 2 weeks to walk here from Galilee up to Jerusalem. It was a massive celebration that would have lasted, a week. People are arriving, people are arriving, people are arriving. They're all bringing their best fruit forward. They would have been traveling with animals, because they have to eat along the way. They would have, even then, now I'm vegan, and I see that in the beginning, I also found where it says that God gave all of the seeds of the land and all of the things that grow as food, and only and so it really means that people were vegan, and only after Noah did people start to eat meat, and then it's written after that all of the animals and all of the things that walk along the earth and all of the winged things, and so there's a passage you can look for it. It's enough that you search, and about it if you're interested in it. I'm like I love the history, but I love so many things. I don't go in so deep. I just find, and then I ask my father about it because he's an historian, so it's easy for me. So some of the things I go in more deep, and some of the things I go in less deep, but you can imagine what it would have been like coming up into the city of Jerusalem. And the city of Jerusalem is beautiful. I love Jerusalem. I've had a calling for the last couple of years to go to Shiloh, and I still haven't gone. But it's like a calling that came out of nowhere. I didn't even know that Shiloh existed, and it came into my mind. What is Shiloh? And I started looking it up. It came down as like, and I know I'm going to go there. I feel like I don't know why I haven't gone yet. but something is pulling me to go there. And I realize that maybe maybe it has to be fully grown idea before I go. So there's a reason why I haven't gone yet. Ooh, I'm lightheaded. But with my twin, oh, so every 49 years, which is the Jubilee year, then not only is it where you don't harvest anything, you let everything go back into it, but it's like a massive celebration year. It's like a special year. All of the slaves are let go if there's slaves. All of the debt, prisoners, debt, everything is excused. Everything starts anew. It's like a clean slate every 49 years. And to realize when I did the count, I started, and these jubilees were completely taken out of the calendar and completely taken out of history almost. But you can find them in a few different places, and you find them in the Dead Sea Scrolls. What's so cool about the Dead Sea Scrolls is that all of the ancient books were found, even things that were completely taken out of the Bible. There are in Ethiopia, they have the Book of Jubilees, and they found them in Qumran. I think there's another place somewhere where they found ancient, with the books where people took them and they, where they survived with the when they went into the Bible and took out everything and changed it up. When Caesar came in, he overtook the temple in Jerusalem, and then he completely changed. That's when the temple became contaminated with the evil priests, and that's when Jesus, who came from the rightful line of the kingdom and the leaders, that was when there was a part in Judaism. So the evil priests, the ones that weren't really in line, stayed, or some of them maybe were in line, but it was the evil priests that stayed. When the Romans came in, they brought their own calendar, which was the lunar calendar, which was way less accurate than the solar calendar, and all of Judaism was based on the solar calendar. That was the whole religion was based, or religion. You don't even call it religion, way of living. When you think of religion, when I think of religion, it kind of turns me off, because religion is kind of like making spirituality into a politics. It's like, oh, you have to do it this way, and it loses the spiritual part of it, but also it lost its the calendar, which all of Judaism. Now that I'm learning about the calendar, all of Judaism and all of the holidays were based on the solar calendar. So how can you bring in a lunar calendar, and then all of the holidays started getting off place? And then they lost the Jubilee year too, because that is irrelevant, and so they quit the count. But in these ancient books, there's remnants. There's remnants of the count, because they still have the counted years that go in sequence one after another. So there's a Jewish count of years, and in the ancient textbooks, in some places, where it was relevant to the story, or where they didn't take it out, they said, okay, there was a certain count, where it was accounted, like they would count time of when this person died, or that person, this happened. They counted it in accordance to Jubilees, because the Jubilees were like a sequence of time, a time count. It was the holy count. And so there's certain places in the ancient Bible that these Jubilees still appear. And so according to the Jubilees, I can do the math, and I've actually done, like, I found it from here, and then I found it from here, and then I found it from here, and they all coincide with each other, so that you can really find the dates of the Jubilees. And that the Jubilees always fall on the seventh year, and those seventh years have been kept, the sabbatical years. They have been kept, and they've been kept in sequence for thousands of years, because you're counting seven. It's just like the Sabbaths, the seventh day, Saturdays, are still in place, because that sequence was never broken, because it's every 7 days. You can't break a sequence where you can just stop in the middle and say, okay, no, the Sabbath isn't in its place, it's in a different place. There's no reason, because we still do the 7-day count. So we know that the Sabbaths are in place. We know that the 7 year cycle is in place. And we know that the Jubilees fall on the 7th year cycle. And so we know that the Jubilees fall on specific, they have to fall on one of these Shnat Shmitas, one of the Shemitah years. And so it's like super intriguing. And so my twin was born on a Jubilee year, and that just like it completely, yeah, it's like if I keep on coming back into the Messiah thing, and it's way more than that. That's just one of the small things. That's just one of the side things. That's just one of the like added extras. The way that I see of him becoming a Messiah, of him being the Messiah, is in different ways completely, because I see the work that he's doing and the work that is happening around him. So that's my thoughts on the Messiah. And it's all coming to be now, and the strangest things are happening. You know, these real miracles. And so, so what I was going to say about doing these sculptures is that these sculptures are a replica of the place that Jesus was buried. And so it's like when I'm asking for miracles, and I've actually been praying, which is so new to me. It's so like, if you would have told me a year or 2 years ago that I would be praying, I would have said, no way. I was totally like, or if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would have this absolute, undeniable belief in God, ever since this twin flame journey started, it has completely changed everything, the way that I see everything. My belief in God started before that. My belief in God started on the spiritual awakening, and then you start realizing that God isn't just this, this body up in the sky. God is everything. I'm part of God. I am of God and of nature, and nature is God, and there is no separation. There is no gap in between me and God. And then you realize that everything that I'm working with, every movement that I make has an impact on the world, and everything that I say and everything that I do has an impact on the world, and my belief and the vibration that I hold has an impact on the world. And this trust, get up in the morning, it's 8:30 in the morning, I'm still not, and I'm out walking, walking and making a video, and I have complete trust. I know that I'm provided for, and it's amazing how everything works out. But what I was thinking is that Jesus is providing for me. These plates that I'm doing are plates that I'm doing for the place of that he was buried, and people come and buy them. So if you look at it this way, because of his existence and because of who he is and how people come, who he was, and how people come to visit his site and buy souvenirs that are connected to him, he is providing for me. It's a direct line to 2,000 years ago. And when I look at it this way, it's just like, mind-blowing, mind-boggling. Like, I pray and I have this belief in the Messiah and this new thing. I'm talking about it even. It's like, it's Twilight Zone. I'm telling you, Twilight Zone. I considered myself most of my life to be like completely disconnected from religion. Completely disconnected from religion. I have Christian background, converted to Judaism, and when I was young, we were in Chabad, like religious Jews, and it turned me completely off of religion because it was all very strict, and you have to do this, and I have to wear long clothes, and I can't play with boys, and I have to go and study and learn this language. I had to see, and you have to pray in Hebrew, and you don't understand it, so it's just like chanting. It's just like going into like punishment for a couple of hours, that you have to sit there and read this Hebrew books, and you don't understand and it doesn't interest you at all. And really, it was completely disconnected from anything spiritual. It was more like a ritual. It was more like a job that you had to do, and that made your life miserable. You can't eat this and you can't eat that, and everything has to be kosher, and you have to separate your meat and milk, and the guilt in religion. There's so much guilt because you can never be righteous enough because your thoughts aren't in it. So it's like you have this guilt just from the way that you are. And in the true, like when you find it through love, that's all it is. It's love. There is no religion. It's all goodness and pureness and living a highly spiritual life and living a life of purity, and it makes you pure and it makes you feel good. It makes your intentions in the right place, and that's all it really is about. And once you try to take it and put it into a box, it becomes something else. And then it just becomes the ritual have tos, feel like you're being punished if you, feel like you're being punished into religion. So it comes from a completely different thing. Is when all of a sudden I'm seeing that when I'm praying and I'm talking about the Messiah, and all of a sudden my income is coming directly from Jesus's existence. Because he existed and he has a following. Now this month I have support. I find it just, the connections, the things that are happening are just so divine and so out of the ordinary and so real magic. It's real magic. And it all works out perfectly because now I was saying I'm wanting to work on this ancient calendar, and it brings me into my parents' house to work, so I can work, during the morning I can work on the calendar, and then in the afternoon I can go and paint and get paid for it and study. Like yesterday when I was painting, and after I finished painting, my father and I both sat there and we pulled out some books and we were doing studies on the Jubilee. Now, I didn't tell him exactly that I was researching the Jubilee. So I was researching it to actually see and prove, prove to myself, find more signs in my twin and when my twin flame was born, and how that coincides with everything. It's like when something is true, you start finding the proof of it everywhere. It's inevitable. When you find a truth, you find a pattern, you start seeing it in every place. It's amazing how it works like that. There was a whole bunch of other things that I opened on this video that I wanted to talk about. But yesterday we had such a good time. He got this camera. It's a really cool camera that zooms in like 3 kilometers away. So we're sitting at the beach and zooming in on Hara Osher. Hara Osher is the Mount of Beatitudes. So you can sit right down here at the beach, and the Mount of Beatitudes is right up on. See, it's all connected. Mount of Beatitudes is right up there. So we were zooming in on the church up there. You could just see every little detail in the church. The people walking around. We zoomed in on the boats out in the Sea of Galilee. You could just see the people sitting there in the boats, and it was really cool. You could zoom in on the Golan Heights on the opposite side, and it's just like seeing it clear as day. It's so cool, that camera that he got, and he has this laser too. Very interesting. Okay, well, this is already 38 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop this here. So I appreciate you watching. If anything else, today I might be going up to visit my friend. So today I have some plans. I'm going to be going up maybe to visit my friend in the Golan Heights with a girlfriend that she had a book that channeled through her to her, and it just came down like that, and I read it. It's about saving, it's about the trees and the connection of ours to the earth. It feels like I read it. It's a really beautiful, cute, sweet book for kids, and it really explains our connection to Mother Earth and what we're doing to the plants. So I have another friend that's an artist that lives up in the Golan, and so I talked to him about maybe doing the illustrations for the book. At first I was thinking I could do the illustrations, but I know how long it would take me, and he's such a superb artist, and he draws really quickly. It's just like tick, 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 tick. And so We're going to go up and talk to him. He said that he has also already illustrated a lot of books, so he knows the process. We're going to try to find maybe a kickstart. And this also helps me because I have a book that came down also in channeled a book that came to me a few years ago. And it's a guidance. Now I'm realizing that it's a guidance into the new world, but then I didn't. And it's a guidance into being... it's a guidance to enlightenment, and that book has been. I wrote it out really quick, and it also came with paintings. I drew all the drawings for it and painted, but then I have to take the text. When things come down in channeling, it's not like they come down and then that's it. You have it. You actually have to go in and. You have to go in and use your human talents to bring it into shape and form to be able to pass it on, in a coherent way. And so that's the part that I haven't done. I was talking about my span of attention and how my attention sometimes is off. So I was so that's one thing that I need to sit down and I need to put it all in order. And this is good for me to going through the process with her because it's relevant for me too. So when I do the process with her, it'll also get the things on my book moving. And so I see this as because it's really easy for me to help other people. But then when it comes to myself, a lot of times I can't do it, or I don't find the time or whatever. But when it's for somebody else, it's so funny how things like that work. How you can do something for somebody else but you can't do it for yourself. It's amazing how those things work. So that's gonna be something good, because the book that came down to me, I feel like it's God sent, and it's something that I really do need to do. I mean, it came to me to do. I feel like if something comes to me in a way of channeling, or that it is my responsibility to do it. If the divine decided that this is something that's coming through me and something that is on my plate, it becomes my responsibility. It's just like I was talking about in the video yesterday, that when you see something, it becomes your responsibility to actually do it. So I think it's time. And with this whole trust thing, that was one thing that my twin was telling me, and here's another thing I want to close off, is he was telling me, if you can't concentrate, it doesn't matter. Just sit in your workplace. Don't move. Just sit. So and don't run away. And that's something I've been practicing, not running away, just sitting at home. Okay. So even if I can't concentrate, I just sit in it. I just sit there. And then I do it. And then I started noticing that once I do get into something doing it, that I do concentrate. And that just sitting in it works. You stay home. I stay home because I work from home. So I stay around my computer area, and then if I can't concentrate, so I get up and I do some laundry, or I get up and I do cooking, or I get up and I do some cleaning. But I'm in production, and at the end of the day, I'm sitting on this big pile of production. I mean, the laundry needs to be done, right? And so it all ends up getting done. And I'm finding more and more of this trust thing. And it's also, at the end of the day, you feel really good because you're sitting on the top of a whole bunch of stuff that you did. And I see how slowly it gets piled up. All of these things that I'm doing are slowly getting done. My lists of things that I've had on my list forever, I'm starting to tack off. And the more you tack them off, the more it like feeds itself, because it feels so good to tack off these things. At the end of the day, instead of me holding my head and like, oh, another day and I didn't do anything, at the end of the day, it feels really good because I have all the stuff that I already did. And it feeds itself. The more I do, the more I want to do, and the more I see that I can do, and the more I trust myself, and the more I'm getting into the focus. I can focus better. And it's like practice makes perfect. It's like fake it till you make it. And that was one of the best advices that I got, is just sit in it. Sit in it. And it's like sitting in this, there's like when you get into this running mode, where you get into like you have to run away, it feels like that. It goes, comes up and you have to run. And then just sitting in it, it comes up and it depletes because there's nowhere for it to go. And then you get into a calm, or I start doing breathing techniques. And another thing I was noticing, I started saying, is that when I'm not smoking, I feel like the channeling is coming through me in a much more pure, natural way. And what I've noticed is that it's coming through more and more and more, because the channeling, it doesn't need weed to come through. And if anything, the weed makes it sloppy, because now it's coming through very precise and stronger than ever. And so if I was afraid of losing my spirituality because I was smoking, then it's exactly the opposite, I feel like. And so today we're going to go up and visit that. Hopefully, I'm going to contact him now and see if we can come up and visit him today. And that'll give me a move on my on my books as well. And it feels like when everything starts working out, the whole universe is conspiring. Is that the word? Conspiring in my favor. The whole universe, everything works out perfect. When things start working out, they start working out in such synchronicity. It's just my faith is growing and growing and growing and growing. And I'm becoming more and more and more at ease, understanding that things, they unfold on their own. The more I get in the way and try to make things and worry about things and how's this going to happen, how's that going to happen, it's me interfering with the divine's plan. When I just get out of the way and I say, okay, I trust and I pray and I allow myself to just be, everything comes to me. It just comes and is presented to me because I'm in the right place. I'm saying this and I have like this goosebumps coming up the back of my neck. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and I'll keep you updated.